This short video will provide an overview of the mathematics section of the Praxis core and then provide some basic test-taking strategies. But first, some general studying guidelines. Start reviewing 4 to 7 weeks prior to your test date. Less than 4 weeks and you might be cramming. Longer than 7 weeks and you might start forgetting. So set aside time to study every day and keep your study sessions between 30 minutes and 2 hours. Studying with others can be beneficial, and working on practice problems with a tutor is a good preparation strategy. Finally, learn as much about the test as you can so that you're not caught by surprise. One interesting aspect about the math test is that it's also a reading test. ETS has to craft questions carefully to make them challenging, and the biggest challenge is to read the questions carefully and understand what they're really asking for. So read and reread. One notable feature in the Praxis is the capability of marking questions. Whether it's a question you have answered but have doubts about, or a question that is too difficult at the moment, you can click the Mark button at the top of the screen and then return to the question later. The math section emphasizes concepts that you learned from middle school through high school, including geometry, algebra and functions, number and quantity, and statistics and probability. There are 56 questions over 85 minutes, most of which are standard multiple choice with a single answer. Some are multiple choice with multiple answers, where you must indicate the correct answers to get credit. And some are numerical entry questions that require you to enter a number to answer the question. In terms of content, number and quantity focus on numbers, the various ways they are represented, place value, properties of whole numbers, operations, and ratios and proportions. Algebra assesses skills in solving equations and inequalities, problem-solving skills, relationships between verbal and symbolic expressions, graphs, and concepts around functions, including domain and range. Geometry measures understandings of properties regarding geometric shapes, the Pythagorean theorem, transformations of shapes, similarity and congruence, area and volume, and measurement. Finally, statistics and probability assess the ability to read graphs and charts, derive inferences from data, determine central tendencies such as mean, median, and mode, and find probabilities for specific outcomes. You cannot bring your own calculator to the test, but an on-screen calculator is provided that includes square root, decimal, and plus and minus keys. The transfer display button allows your answer to be inputted to an answer box for a particular question. A few things to keep in mind about the calculator. Calculators can't think, and they can be a liability in terms of time. They won't make you faster, and calculators can't replace scratch paper. So let's look at some basic strategies for taking this test. Strategy number 1, 2 passes. Because the Praxis allows you to mark a question and return to it later, and because all questions are weighted equally, answer the easiest questions first. If you see a question you don't like, mark it and move on. Answer all the questions you feel confident about first, then go back to the harder ones. A second strategy is to make sure that you're using your scratch paper. So put everything on paper. Write neatly and review your work. Practice the process of elimination by writing out A, B, C, D, E. And if you're not writing, it's time to mark the question and move on. Strategy number 3, process of elimination. The process of elimination helps improve your odds, so read the question carefully and write A, B, C, D, E on your scratch paper. Scan the possible answers and eliminate any answer that you can tell is incorrect. Work the problem on your scratch paper and find the solution that matches. Do the process of elimination even when you have to guess. Choosing from 3 possible correct answers is better than choosing from 5. Here is an example of putting it on paper and the process of elimination. You can pause the video here if you'd like to see what the work looks like. Strategy number 4, bend, don't break. If you find you are stuck on a question, mark it and move on. Do 3 or more questions and then come back. If it's still too difficult, leave it and come back later. Be aware of when you're getting frustrated. If you're spending more than 3 minutes on a problem and your hand is not moving, you don't know what to do next, and your answer is not one of the choices, or you're spending too much time working with ugly numbers, it's time to mark the question and move on. Finally, strategy number 5, answer every question. The Praxis only scores the number of correct answers, so if you're running out of time, start guessing. Guessing should happen after you use the process elimination, and it should be the last resort, but you need to answer every question. Finally, here are some review resources that are available to you. ETS provides materials to help you review for the Praxis core. I've included a link to their site, as well as a link to the PDF study companion that includes practice problems with explanations and suggestions for additional study skills. Contact Pete St. John at the Learning Assistance Center to meet with a tutor, and consider checking out Teachers Test Prep and the Study Guide Zone, 2 other sites with links on this page. Finally, there are 2 links on this page with practice problems for you to work, including their solutions. The solutions do not provide explanations, so consider contacting a tutor to work on questions that you struggle with.